Wake up. This is not another pep talk you'll scroll past. This is an alarm for the part of you that lets thoughts drive the car while you sit frozen in the passenger seat. If you want to change your life, you must seize the wheel of your own mind and steer it with ruthless, relentless intention. Your mind is louder than your life. It whispers excuses. It rewrites the past to justify the present. It builds invisible fences and calls them safety. Quiet that voice, not with wishful thinking, not with cheap affirmations, with discipline so sharp it hurts, with habits so precise they crush indecision, with an unshakable standard that refuses to accept smallness. Listen, every habit begins as a single thought. A single thought repeated becomes a belief. A belief repeated becomes a destiny. If you don't control the first thought, you will be dragged toward the life you never wanted, slowly, convincingly, perfectly. That is the danger. The mind is patient, and it will gladly trade your future for a moment's comfort. You think you are your thoughts. No, you are the commander of those thoughts. Command means you don't allow every stray idea to occupy the throne. Command means you prune, you rewire, you choose. The battlefield is in your head. Win there, and the rest falls like dominoes. Start with attention. What you feed grows. If your attention lives on fears, failures, and comparison, your world will be a mirror of scarcity. If your attention lives on possibilities, on the work in front of you, on the craft of getting better, then your world will stretch to meet it. Attention is not passive. It is the muscle of the soul. Train it. Force it to look where you need to go, not where your comfort wants to hide. Next language. The words you use to speak to yourself build prisons or build ladders. I can't. I don't deserve. Maybe someday. These are shackles. Replace them with sharp, exact commands. I will practice today. I deserve the fight. I begin now. Words are orders you give to your nervous system. Speak in a tone that moves your body. Your voice will follow your vocabulary. Fear will try to masquerade as strategy. It will make a case fully dressed with rational arguments. But notice the verb see, maybe. What if later? Fear is slow and persuasive. Courage is quick and decisive. When a thought arrives that asks for permission to hold you back, interrupt it immediately. Say out loud if you must, not today. Interrupting is a power move. It breaks the rehearsal of failure and prevents it from becoming the performance. Discipline is the route most people avoid. They want motivation, a sudden lightning strike of feeling instead of digging daily. Real change is built by the small, brutal choices no one sees: waking up when the body wants sleep, finishing the task when the brain seeks distraction, continuing when progress is invisible. Those choices compound. They are invisible wealth. The mind that practices discipline learns to crave the long-term result more than the short-term wound. Use ritual. Your brain loves patterns. Make sacred routines that shape your identity. Morning rituals, micro habits before work, a standards check each night. These rituals are not boxes to tick. They are scaffolding that holds a new self. When your environment cues the behavior, the mind follows without argument. Design your cues ruthlessly. Remove the temptations that whisper into your idle moments. Make the easier path the one that strengthens you. Train your inner judge into an inner coach. The judge loves blaming, complaining, cataloging every failure like a cruel librarian. The coach sees data. What happened? What did you learn? What will you do differently tomorrow? A coach does not soften the truth, it uses it. Convert shame into strategy. Convert regret into fuel. Your mind must learn that failure is informational, not terminal. When that lesson is internalized, you stop hiding and start experimenting. Comparison is a silent thief. On screens, people present victories. Behind them, there are nights of work. Stop measuring your beginning against someone else's highlight reel. Your race is private. Your scoreboard is your standards. Set them, enforce them, defend them. If you run someone else's race, you hand your life away in installments. Control of the mind is not suppression. It is direction. You don't numb the pain, you understand it, then choose your response. Pain is a compass pointing to what matters. Follow it. Let discomfort be proof you're moving beyond the edge of your former self. Make decisions quickly and change them slowly. The mind that dithers eats opportunity. Decide boldly, act, then refine. Indecision breeds anxiety, and anxiety breeds stagnation. The fastest way to silence an anxious mind is to act. Motion is antiseptic. Guard your company inside and outside. The people you allow near your mind determine its taste. Feed your brain voices that demand more, not those that rationalize less. Read books that instruct, not gossip that corrodes. Consume content that stretches your thinking, not content that shrinks it. Your environment is a mirror. Choose the reflections that show the person you intend to become. Forgive quickly, but do not forget lessons. Holding grudges is mental weight that steals clarity. Release emotional debts that do not serve your mission. But remember the pattern and set boundaries. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strategic unburdening so you can focus on creation. Execute tiny, ruthless audits of your day. At night, ask, what thoughts did I allow to rule me today? Which ones strengthened me? This small ritual sharpens awareness. Awareness births choice. Choice births power. See the mind as a garden. Pull weeds, doubts, automatic negative loops, passive scrolling. Plant seeds, discipline, clarity, gratitude for effort, not outcome. Water them with consistent action. Tend them with reflection. Over time, the garden will feed a life you once thought impossible. And when you stumble, because you will, do not treat it as identity. Treat it as an instruction. Where did my mind betray my intention? How will I reorder my day to prevent the same betrayal? The person who controls their mind does not demand perfection. They demand correction. They iterate. They come back stronger. Finally, remember this: controlling your mind is the ultimate act of ownership. It is the quiet rebellion against the scripts handed to you by fear, by opinion, by laziness. It is the daily revolt that builds an empire out of small, precise acts of will. If you want to change your life, begin with this: decide, declare, and do. Decide what you want your mind to serve. Declare it out loud on paper to the people who will hold you accountable. Do the work every day in the shade when no one is watching. This is not a journey for the half-committed. It demands everything, and it gives everything in return. Now stand, breathe, say it. Why command my mind? Repeat it until the body believes it. Then act as if you already own the future you claim. The world will bend, slowly at first, then unmistakably, because the strongest force in life is no longer outside of you. It is the way you forged inside. Do not negotiate with mediocrity. Control your mind. Change your life. If this shook something in you, do something now. Leave a mark on your day that proves it. One action, one proof. Then come back and do it again. If you want the next push, I'll give it. But the work is yours. Commit, perform, transform. Your thoughts shape your destiny, because everything you will ever do, every path you will ever walk, and every result you will ever touch begins first inside your own mind before it ever breathes in the outside world. The invisible patterns you rehearse in silence carve the reality later call your life. If you allow your thoughts to dwell on doubt, you will step into opportunities with hesitation, and hesitation steals the victory before the battle even begins. If you entertain fear, you will unconsciously build cages around your own potential, never realizing that the bars are made only of imagination. When you replay old failures in your head, you resurrect ghosts that should have been buried, and you let them sit at the table of your future decisions. Every great invention, every powerful transformation, every monumental success was born not from chance, but from a single mind daring to think differently when the world demanded conformity. Your internal dialogue is a script, and if that script is written with weakness, your performance in life will be small. But if it is written with conviction, your performance will be unstoppable. The body follows the brain, and the brain follows the thoughts you allow to dominate the stage. You cannot dream of strength and speak of weakness, because the contradiction will tear your destiny apart. You cannot pray for change while repeating the same self-sabotaging narratives inside your head, because destiny does not bow to wishful thinking. It bows to mental alignment. Your destiny is not controlled by luck, by family, or by circumstance as much as it is sculpted by the thoughts you choose to allow inside your mind every day. The richest land is not the earth beneath your feet. It is the territory between your ears, because from that soil grows either weeds of destruction or harvests of greatness. A negative thought entertained long enough becomes a belief, and a belief lived long enough becomes a truth that directs your every move. But the same power can elevate you. One empowering thought repeated with discipline can fuel relentless action until impossible turns into inevitable. When you think small, you shrink your world to fit inside that cage. But when you think expansively, the world expands to match your vision. The world mirrors your thoughts. People respond to the way you carry yourself, and the way you carry yourself is determined by what you repeatedly tell yourself in secret. Every master, every leader, every champion first won in their head long before they stood on the stage of victory. The seed of destiny is imagination sharpened by intention, but imagination without control rots into distraction. While imagination guided by clarity builds empires, your thoughts are magnets that attract proof. And the more you dwell on failure, the more evidence you see to justify it. But the more you dwell on possibility, the more opportunities you notice waiting in plain sight. Destiny is not waiting for you somewhere far away. It is shaped step by the unseen machinery of your thought life. Your mind will always find a way to prove you right. So if you think you are weak, you will find evidence of weakness. And if you think you are powerful, you will find evidence of strength. When you think in terms of limits, you program your body to move carefully, cautiously, timidly. But when you think in terms of growth, you program your body to reach, stretch, and climb. The power of destiny is not in the events that happen to you, but in the thoughts that decide what those events mean. Two people can experience the same failure, but one sees an ending while the other sees a lesson. And that difference alone shapes entirely different futures. You must guard your thoughts the way a king guards his crown, because once the enemy plants lies in your head, he doesn't need chains on your body. Guarding your thoughts means auditing your language, rejecting mental poison, and refusing to let destructive stories replay without challenge. Your thoughts are not harmless whispers. They are architects drafting the blueprints of your future home. If you think like a victim, you will live in a house built from pity. But if you think like a warrior, you will live in a fortress built from resilience. Destiny is never built by accident. It is sculpted with the chisels of repetition, focus, and belief until the raw stone of possibility becomes the carved figure of reality. The mind can enslave you or it can liberate you, and the direction depends entirely on what thoughts you feed it day after day. A life of power begins with the refusal to let random thoughts dictate direction. It begins with the decision to deliberately plant empowering narratives in the soil of your mind. You cannot separate destiny from thoughts because every action, every risk, every word, and every decision is first born in silence within the mind. A single thought that says, I can, has launched revolutions, healed broken lives, and rebuilt entire empires. A single thought that says, I cannot, has destroyed dreams, buried potential, and ended futures before they began. When you wake up each day, you are faced with the same battlefield. Will you let your mind wander into fear and limitation, or will you force it to bow to vision and strength? The choice of thoughts may feel small, but those small choices repeated 1,000 times become the mountain you either stand on or the pit you fall into. Destiny is not a mysterious force. It is the compounded weight of your thoughts crystallized into choices and actions that carve the timeline of your life. The strongest chains are invisible. They are the mental loops you never interrupt, the rehearsed doubts you never silence, the poisonous comparisons you never kill. But the sharpest sword is also invisible. It is the thought that refuses defeat, the thought that commands persistence, the thought that sees beyond the immediate obstacle into the victory already waiting. Your destiny bends to the authority of your inner narrative. And if your narrative is full of power, resilience, and clarity, your destiny will be written in strength. If your narrative is full of excuses, bitterness, and hesitation, your destiny will collapse under its own weakness. Therefore, to shape destiny, you must take ruthless responsibility for what enters and what stays in the theater of your mind. Every day you are rehearsing a play, and one day the curtain will rise, the audience will watch, and the world will see the performance your thoughts have been writing in secret. If you want your destiny to roar, then your thoughts must roar first in private when no one is watching, because destiny always reveals the truth of your mental rehearsal. Discipline is stronger than motivation because motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that never goes out. Motivation depends on moods, weather, circumstances, and emotions, but discipline works no matter how you feel. Motivation fades the moment the challenge grows heavy, but discipline digs its heels into the ground and refuses to move backward. The truth is, if you wait to feel motivated before acting, you will never act with consistency. But if you build discipline, you will move forward even in the absence of inspiration. Motivation is fragile. It gets crushed by pain, by fear, by rejection. But discipline thrives in the storm and transforms resistance into fuel. When motivation whispers, not today, discipline commands now. When motivation disappears in the dark, discipline shows up like an unbreakable soldier standing guard. Discipline is the muscle that carries you when your feelings betray you, when your body aches, when your mind screams to stop. Discipline is the difference between dreaming of a better life and actually creating one with your own hands. The most successful people are not the most motivated. They are the most disciplined. They do the work whether their hearts are on fire or completely numb. Motivation cannot survive without external hype, but discipline is self-sufficient. It grows in silence. It grows in struggle. It grows in commitment. Motivation is emotional gasoline that burns hot but quickly empties, while discipline is the engine itself that keeps turning no matter how empty the tank feels. Discipline means you don't bargain with your excuses. You execute your decisions as if they were law. Discipline means you wake up when the alarm rings, not when you feel like it, because feelings are liars and discipline is truth. Discipline means finishing the task when boredom arrives, because greatness is hidden in the boring repetitions that others avoid. Discipline does not care about the applause. It cares only about the standard you promised yourself to uphold. Without discipline, motivation is wasted energy. But with discipline, even small effort multiplied daily becomes unstoppable power. Motivation is about emotion. Discipline is about character. And character always outlasts emotion. Discipline is the silent weapon that builds momentum when nothing else is working. Motivation asks for comfort. Discipline embraces discomfort until discomfort becomes a friend. Motivation dies in the face of rejection, but discipline grows stronger every time it is tested. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is often invisible, but it is the invisible weight that holds your future together. Discipline means you choose structure over chaos. You choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure. You choose action over excuses. Motivation will not carry you through years of struggle, but discipline will carry you through decades of building. Every champion was disciplined before they were celebrated, because success is the echo of repeated discipline, not occasional bursts of motivation. Motivation can be borrowed from others, but discipline must be forged within yourself through repeated practice and unshakable standards. Discipline is stronger than motivation because it thrives without inspiration. It thrives without applause. It thrives without validation. Discipline makes you show up on the days you hate the process, on the days you feel empty, on the days you are tempted to quit. Discipline outlives fatigue. It outlives doubt. It outlives pain. It outlives every excuse you invent to protect your weakness. Motivation creates moments. Discipline creates legacies. Motivation gives you excitement for the starting line. Discipline takes you across the finish line. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident that never leaves your side. Discipline is not a feeling. It is a decision executed daily until it becomes identity. When you are disciplined, you do not ask, do I feel like it? You ask, did I commit to it? And then you move. Discipline forces the body to obey the will. And in that obedience, the will becomes stronger than the flesh. Discipline is the hammer that crushes procrastination, the shield that protects consistency, the sword that cuts through fear. Motivation wavers when pressure rises, but discipline sharpens under pressure like steel in fire. Discipline is a contract you sign with yourself that cannot be broken by mood swings or emotional storms. Discipline is what transforms desire into achievement, potential into performance, dreams into reality. Motivation excites you to start, but discipline forces you to finish. Discipline is stronger than motivation because it does not care if you are tired. It does not care if you are uninspired. It does not care if you are scared. It only cares that you do the work. Discipline is the parent of mastery, the guardian of excellence, the root of transformation. If you master discipline, you master your destiny, because discipline builds habits and habits build character and character builds futures. Discipline means you show up for your goals as if they were life or death, not as if they were optional hobbies. Motivation fades when the crowd disappears, but discipline thrives in silence, in solitude, in the shadows. Motivation asks for results now. Discipline builds patiently, brick by brick, knowing the fortress will stand forever. Motivation can push you for a day, but discipline will carry you for a lifetime. If you wait for motivation, your life will be random, but if you build discipline, your life will be intentional. Discipline is stronger than motivation because discipline creates freedom, freedom from laziness, freedom from regret, freedom from weakness. Discipline does not beg for opportunity. It creates opportunity by preparing you before the door even opens. Motivation is emotion-driven. Discipline is mission-driven. Motivation is temporary fuel. Discipline is the permanent engine that drives destiny. Without discipline, you will always live on borrowed inspiration, but with discipline, you become your own source of power. Discipline is the foundation upon which greatness stands, and without it, even the most motivated dreams cut into dust. Attention is the muscle of the soul, because what you focus on expands and what you ignore withers away into nothingness. Every thought you choose to feed with attention grows roots inside you until it becomes part of a destiny. Attention is not passive. It is an act of power that decides where your life force flows. If you waste attention on distractions, your energy drains into emptiness and leaves you weak. But if you direct attention with clarity, you channel fire into creation. The strength of your soul depends on the discipline of your attention, because wherever attention rests, your future is built. Attention is the currency of your existence, and you are either investing it into growth or spending it on destruction. When your attention lies on fear, fear multiplies. But when your attention lies on courage, courage becomes unshakable. Attention is the steering wheel of your mind, and if you lose grip, the vehicle of your life crashes into chaos. Every addiction, every failure, every wasted year begins with misplaced attention. Your attention is hunted daily by noise, by technology, by meaningless chatter, but only you can decide what gets fed, and what starves attention is the gatekeeper of your soul, allowing in either poison or power depending on what you choose to focus on. The strongest warriors of the mind are not the ones with endless energy, but the ones who master their attention and direct it with precision. If you give attention to doubt, it grows louder. But if you give attention to possibility, it reveals doors you never saw before. Attention transforms ordinary moments into sacred opportunities. Because focus is what turns chaos into order. The difference between mediocrity and mastery is attention. Because mastery is nothing more than relentless focus on improvement. Your soul weakens when attention is scattered, but it strengthens when attention is trained like a blade. Attention is not just looking, it is living with intentional focus, pouring energy into what matters most and cutting away everything else. The muscle of attention grows with resistance. Every time you pull it back from distraction, you add strength to your inner power. Attention is the magnet of your soul, pulling towards you the very things you repeatedly focus on. Whether good or bad, your dreams die not because they are impossible, but because your attention leaks into comfort, entertainment, and doubt instead of action. Attention creates presence, and presence creates power, because nothing is more unstoppable than a person fully locked into the moment before them. The soul collapses when attention is divided, because division weakens clarity, and clarity is the essence of strength. If you train attention, you train destiny, because focus is the bridge between vision and reality. Attention is the soil in which your identity grows, and what you allow to take root there determines the fruit of your future. A scattered mind produces scattered results, but a focused soul produces unstoppable momentum. Attention is stolen every time you surrender to meaningless distractions, and each theft costs you pieces of your destiny. Guard your attention the way you would guard treasure, because it is more valuable than gold. It is the essence of creation itself. Attention is power disguised as simplicity, but few ever master it because they treat it carelessly. When you decide to direct attention with intensity, you compress time. You achieve in months what others cannot achieve in years. Attention is the battlefield of the modern world, because everyone is fighting to control it, and only those who reclaim it truly own themselves. Your attention is sacred, and whatever you worship with focus becomes your God, whether you realize it or not. Attention is the difference between living reactively and living deliberately. If you place your attention on gratitude, your soul expands with light. But if you place it on bitterness, your soul shrinks into darkness. Attention creates habits, habits create character, and character creates destiny, which means your entire future begins with what you choose to notice today. The muscle of attention does not grow through comfort, it grows through struggle, through repeatedly dragging it back from the pool of chaos. Attention is the sculptor of your mind, carving pathways that become easier to follow the more you walk them. Every success story is really a story of focused attention, sustained long enough to build mastery. Attention requires sacrifice, because to focus on one thing, you must deny 1,000 others. Attention is not about doing more. It is about cutting away the unnecessary until only the essential remains. Attention is energy made visible, and the stronger it becomes, the more reality bends to meet your clarity. Your attention is your soul's voice saying, this matters, and whatever matters to you will eventually manifest in your world. Attention reveals patterns others miss, solutions others cannot see, and strength others overlook. If your attention is weak, your life will be weak. But if your attention is powerful, your life will be powerful. Attention trains patience, because it forces you to endure repetition. And repetition is the furnace of greatness. The muscle of attention cannot be borrowed from others. It must be built by your own discipline and protected by your own choices. Attention is the lens that either magnifies problems or magnifies opportunities, depending on where you point it. When attention is sharp, even the smallest action becomes significant, because intensity amplifies impact. Attention is proof of what you value, because your focus is the truest measure of your priorities. Attention feeds identity, because you become what you continuously think about, what you study, what you repeat, what you fix your gaze upon. Without control of attention, your mind becomes a slave to every distraction. But with control of attention, your mind becomes a master of creation. Attention makes time slow down, because when you are fully present, each moment becomes a universe. The soul aches when attention is scattered across things that do not matter, but it thrives when attention is directed toward meaningful purpose. Attention is not neutral. It is active force, and whatever receives it will either heal you or harm you. The soul builds endurance through attention, because focusing on what matters, even in difficulty, creates resilience that no obstacle can break. Attention creates alignment, and alignment creates flow, where every action feels purposeful and every step feels guided. Attention is stronger than talent, because talent without focus dissolves into wasted potential. The strength of your soul is measured not by how much you know, but by how well you control your attention in the face of distraction. Attention is the art of saying this and nothing else, and that choice is the foundation of destiny. Your life will always follow the direction of your strongest attention, because where focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, results grow. The words you speak to yourself become commands, because every sentence you repeat in your mind is an order your body and spirit are forced to obey. When you say you are weak, Your muscles lose strength before the battle even begins. When you declare you are tired, your energy collapses even if fuel still burns within you. The language you whisper to yourself is not just noise. It is a script that programs your destiny line by line. Every thought spoken inward becomes a command that shapes your posture, your choices, and your future. If you tell yourself you cannot succeed, your actions will sabotage themselves until failure proves you right. If you tell yourself you are built for greatness, your spirit will rise to find opportunities that match that declaration. Words are not harmless, they are weapons. And when pointed inward, they can either cut you down or carve you into strength. Your mind does not argue with the commands you repeat. It obeys silently and creates reality out of repetition. The body listens to the whispers of the mind, and the mind listens to the words you feed it every single day. Negative self-talk is poison disguised as truth. It convinces you to settle. It convinces you to shrink. It convinces you to stop trying. Positive self-talk is not fantasy. It is alignment. It is training your brain to see solutions instead of obstacles. Every time you tell yourself, I will rise, you engrave a command into your nervous system that pushes you to stand taller when the storm hits. Every time you tell yourself, oh, I am broken, you engrave weakness into your identity and make it harder to move forward. The words you choose to repeat are laws written on the walls of your mind. And those laws govern the limits of your destiny. Your voice is the first authority your soul recognizes. And if you use that authority recklessly, you chain yourself with invisible ropes. If you tell yourself the world is against you, you will never see allies standing beside you. If you tell yourself life is full of possibility, you will see open doors where others only see locked gates. Words create patterns. Patterns create beliefs. And beliefs create actions that eventually sculpt the story of your life. When you speak with weakness, you command your body to hesitate. But when you speak with power, you command your body to act boldly. The most dangerous conversations are not with others, but with yourself in the silence of your thoughts. What you repeat in your head becomes a prophecy you unconsciously fulfill through your daily choices. If you repeat, I am not ready, you will always delay. But if you repeat, I am prepared, you will take the leap and adjust mid-flight. Your self-talk is a training program, and every phrase is either conditioning you for strength or conditioning you for failure. If you constantly declare that things are impossible, your brain stops searching for solutions. If you constantly declare that things can be figured out, your brain works like a relentless machine until it finds the answer. The power of words is underestimated because they seem small, but repetition transforms them into chains or wings. Words are seeds.